Hey guys, it's Ian here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're doing our wrap-up video for the month of November. Now, I'm actually recording this about a week before the end of November just because I'm going home for the holidays. I won't have time to record or anything, so this is more like a second check-in than it is a wrap-up, but I will mention everything that I am planning to read by the end of the month, and hopefully I will finish reading all of that, so it should be fine. Now, if you guys remember at the beginning of the month, I actually didn't put myself any limitations or any goals for reading this month. I mean, I had some ideas, but I didn't really have to follow them. I was more of an anti-TBR, and I think I'm going to continue that for the rest of the year and maybe sometime into the first quarter, right? I think I'm enjoying this kind of style of reading a lot more. It's a lot more accessible lately, although it bothers me a little bit because it lacks structure, and I do want a little bit of structure. So I think I will still keep some guidelines, but I won't force myself to meet my goals, right? So I don't know, we'll have to work on that. But so between my check-in video and right now, I have not really watched anything new. I mean, besides new episodes of stories that I've already started watching. So what I'll do instead is just tell you, if you want to know exactly what I watched this month, you might as well just go back and watch the check-in portion that deals with that, the film portion or the film chapter of the check-in. That's probably your best bet. I am going to mention some things that I've watched just because I want to mention them right now, but it's not going to be the main focus of the video like it is usually for most wrap-ups. I am going to try to focus mostly on the reading list and then what I am planning to read through the rest of the month. So let's look at the watch list here really quickly. So the most interesting things that I've watched this month that I want to mention again is The Penguin. I think that the ending is really messed up. I really enjoyed it. It was very icky, it really made me feel disgusted at the end, and it reminded me that this is a bad guy, but the story was so well done and it really makes you root for him for the vast majority of the show. I really enjoyed it. Victor's character was good, especially by the end. I really appreciated who he was, and the ending makes it even worse, right? More meaningful, but also really sad, and I really liked it. So The Penguin was great. What else? Let's see. Arcane Season 2. I watched the second portion. I'm going to watch the third portion of it tonight with my friends, and I'm very happy about it. I really enjoy it. I find that the storytelling is a bit confusing, partially because I probably should have rewatched Season 1 before I watched Season 2, and also partially because I think that the style of it is a bit different from your usual linear progression type of story. Because it's not really about getting from point A to point B. It's about exploring these different characters and the reality that they live in, and that makes the writing a bit different from what you would expect. And I think it's really good. It's really enjoyable, but it does make it hard for me to talk about it because I feel like there's too many things going on at the same time, if that makes sense. But it was really enjoyable. I liked it a lot. I thought it was fun. So yeah, and then other than that, Dan to Dan has continued to be amazing. I really enjoyed it. I think Chapter 7, which is when you get the backstory for the Red Silky, was crazy. I almost cried during it. My roommate was surprised. He was like, "What the fuck, dude? Are you crying?" And I didn't, but I almost did, and it was crazy. It was really well done. I appreciate it a lot. I watched the last episode or the latest episode of Dan to Dan as well, and it's really fun. This series is just phenomenal. I really recommend it to everyone, right? So yeah, that's it for the watch list, since there wasn't really too much else going on that I hadn't mentioned already. So let's move on to my reading. So in terms of novels here, I've read Kraken Rider Z Volume 1. I've read Battle Mage Farmer 1, 2, and 3. I finished reading the Trader's Blade, which is the first book in the Great Coats saga by Sebastian de Castell. He's I want to say Canadian-Italian, and he wrote this story called The Great Coats. It's basically a musketeer story. It's really good. I have some problems with the way he writes. I don't necessarily like it because the styling is odd. It reminds me of how books are written in Spanish, but it's not like that. It's different. It almost feels like I'm reading a fan fiction, right? Or some sort of European writing style that isn't bad, but it's not what I'm used to, and it makes it a bit odd to read. However, the storytelling is good, and so mostly I have style issues with the story. The storytelling is good. There are some things that I don't really love, like the fact that the character has like a train of thought, right? That is the plot line. And as he kind of finds things to think about that don't relate to what's happening in front of us, we get these chapters that kind of go off and explore older things. And that's cool. It's an interesting premise, but I'm just not a fan of like the let's go back storytelling mechanism, right? Especially because sometimes it's like, you could have just said that in a conversation instead of having us thrown back into this extra chapter. Like, there was not really that need, right? However, it is what it is. Oddly, you know, even with some of the issues that I had, especially with the writing style, I loved the story. I thought it was really, really fun. I finished it very, very quickly. So yeah, I've also started reading Wandering In book 6 again. So I had previously read it. I've read up to the end of volume 6, which is the end of book 9, if I remember correctly. It's a bit confusing, but yeah, I got to that point, and then I realized I can't record 3.5-hour reviews for each of these books, so I'm just gonna wait. And whenever I feel like reviewing them, I'll go back and reread that portion and then do a review for it, which is what I'm doing now. Since I have time this week, I started rereading Wandering In, and if I finish it by the end of Thanksgiving break, it'll be one of the first videos I do for December. So we'll see how that works. It should work pretty well. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, in terms of Kraken Rider Z, I think I basically said everything I wanted to say about it in the first check-in video for the month. And Battle Mage Farmer is really fun. I really, really enjoy it. I recently saw that there's going to be a new release of it in May next year that's going to be modeled after light novels, because you know, Western lit RPG novels are basically the equivalent to Japanese light novels. And I think that's really cool. It's very fun. Hopefully I can find a way to get a copy of it sent to me by fault. But if I don't, we'll have to see what happens there. So yeah, that's it for, you know, novels. Let's move on to comic books here. And well, I've read quite a few of them, mostly single issue comic books, but I did manage to get around to reading some collected editions. So let's start with the single issues, and then we'll move on to the collected stuff. So I have here the Savage Sword of Conan number 5. This is probably the worst issue of Savage Sword so far. I had issues with the way that it was handled, because like the writing is good, broadly speaking, on all of them. The artwork wasn't my favorite. I like Jeff Isherwood's artwork. I didn't like how he drew Conan in that issue. I mentioned it in my review for it on the other channel if you want to check it out. I didn't like the artwork for the last story at all, and I thought that it was a bad choice because it talks about young Conan. And we had recently seen young Conan in the main story, and so the difference in characterization was very blatantly obvious, and that's not good. You don't want to remind people that everyone that writes them writes slightly differently, especially when you are having this kind of idea where everything is supposed to be kind of happening at the same time, right? I don't think it's a good idea to do that. You know, comic book readers are used to it, but I'm not, and I didn't like it. So yeah, otherwise, the 2 pinups or the 3 pinups that were on there were not my favorite either, mostly because the size of them was not right. It was for a smaller book, and I don't appreciate that because I'm paying premium money for this, right? So if you get art for it, it better be premium art in a premium size, and the fact that they couldn't deliver on that is pretty bad. And there was a lot of mistakes, a lot of stupid mistakes that don't need to be there. There's been 25 plus issues of Conan at this point. Like, dude, get your head in the game, fix it. Like, I thought that was weird. So yeah, I had some issues with that. Otherwise, let's just get into it. So we have The Moon is Following Us number 2. Really fun stuff. I really, really enjoyed the story. I think that Dana Warren Johnson and Riley Rosmo are doing amazing work with it. We have Chitara number 4. This is the penultimate issue, I think, and it was pretty good. I really, really enjoyed it. I think that the best thing here was actually the resolve, the resolution of the love issue between Tigra and Chitara. They finally got together. They seem to have developed some sort of physical relationship to go along with their emotional one, and I think it works out pretty nicely. I'm curious to see how that's going to affect the story in the mainline comic as it goes on, because now that we have established that they, you know, had physical relations when they were younger, are they going to still have them here when they're older, especially because they're not significantly differently aged, right? So we'll see. I think that's cool and interesting. You have Red Sonja number 15, really awesome. The story is drawing to a close finally, which is great because I want to stop collecting it. I'm not going to stop collecting it now. There's only 3 issues left. I'll just finish off the run and probably never pick up a new series of Red Sonja until I hear some critical acclaim for it, just because at this point I spent too much money on this character and have not gotten enough out of her to satisfy that, the spending. We have Thundercats number 9. This really got going where we finally got rid of the need to develop characters. At this point, we're ready. We know all of the characters. We know the game. And it's time to start, getting some stuff done. And so we see that the mutants attack the Thundercat base. And we're going to have to see what happens there. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. You have Green Arrow number... this is not a numbered issue. This is an annual. This was $6. And it was really worth it. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was amazing. There is one complaint I have, and it's actually not a complaint. It's more of a observation. This issue felt like the end of Green Arrow, like completely. Like this is the last story that Green Arrow has ever told or will ever tell. And in concept, that's cool because you can just continuously move this goalpost down until it is the last story, right? When you finish off the run of Green Arrow forever, you might just reprint this story. The thing is that this was the ending of Green Arrow forever, except it's not, because in 2 weeks a new issue comes out. And so why would you give characters or you give readers this amazing perfect ending if you're going to continue the series going forward? I don't really get it. I think that Joshua Williamson got the chance to do something amazing. He took it and he did it well. But at the same time, it feels like it also means that whoever is next, the next people that are working on this, are getting kind of kicked in the balls before they get to get up on stage, as it were. And I don't love that. I think that's a disservice to the brand, right? So I don't know. Those are my thoughts on that. But it was a great issue. So we'll see. We have Kill All Immortals number 4. This was great. I do have a little bit of an issue with the way that it proves that the villain character was technically correct. I don't necessarily love that. Not because it's a problem, but just because I feel like, we have a lot of that. We have a lot of the bad guy being right or not being completely wrong. And I felt like this could have been a good opportunity to show the goodness of humanity, and they chose not to do that. So that's a bit disappointing, but it is what it is. It's not bad. We have My Adventure with Superman. It's finally over, and I really did enjoy this whole run. However, I feel like it was wasted. It should have been leading up to the release of the second season, not afterwards, right? Not trailing behind it. And that's just a bit of bad planning on DC's part. So that sucks. You have Heatseeker Combustion. This is the second series for Heatseeker. I love this cover. I think it's great, but I'm again a bit disappointed. I think the artwork really isn't up there. It's not on par with the first Gun Honey series. And I think that's a bit of a loss here. I think they need to find someone that can really get that down, because it's not really as appealing as it could be. And that's disappointing because that's over half of the battle with a series like this, right? This is a sexy spy thriller, and it's not looking that sexy because the artwork's not that good. So that's a bit disappointing. We'll see if they can fix it going forward, but I don't think so. Hero of Helen of Windhorn finished off strong with an awesome cover and with a great story. It seems like it's going to continue beyond this, which is great. I love that. I think it's great that the series gets to go on, because it doesn't really feel like it finished. But it is finished for now. And I hope that going forward, we get a lot less of the framing device stuff that Tom King likes to do, because it really feels like it takes away from the story more than it helps it. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with that. Transformers number 14, great issue. I enjoyed it, but I just don't like that, Starscream all that much. I would rather focus on the Autobots, and I think that this was a good issue. I enjoyed what happened in it. I just don't like Starscream, so the issue is nowhere near as good as any other issue that I would have read otherwise, right? Witchblade number 4 continues to be awesome. Tease Darkness again, which I'm excited about. I've never really read The Darkness, so I'm looking forward to finally meeting this character, right? Dark Knights of Steel All Winter. This is an awesome purple cover. I really like it. And it has an almost dusky kind of color because this is the last bit of the story before it closes out. So I think that the color choice was pretty inspired there. Here we have The Moon is Following Us number 3. This was awesome. The reveal at the end was insane. I was not really sure of what was happening, but I loved it. I thought it was really, really great. We finally understand what's going on, and the reveal was crazy, like I said, so definitely give it a read. Here we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Naruto. This was awesome. I loved it. I thought it was a great start to the story. I really, really enjoyed it. The style of the artwork is also great. It's not Kishimoto, of course. It's not generic superhero stuff. It feels very intentional and very good and very dynamic and specific for this crossover. And I hope that we get more than one series of this. I hope that we get, 18, 21, maybe, more than that. 20, what was it? What would be the next number? 18, 24. I said 21, I meant 24. 30 chapters of this would be amazing, would be awesome. So we'll see. Ultimate Spider-Man number 11. Great introduction, although this is a bit of a lie. They do happen to appear. They just don't appear together, which is a shame. I hope that we get to develop that love triangle kind of element. And, maybe Peter can become a harem protagonist and actually have like a polyamorous relationship or something like that. I think that'd be a really interesting way to kind of change the dynamic for these characters. So we'll see if that happens. Wonder Woman number 15. I am both in love with this cover and also kind of don't like it. I feel like the concept of it is amazing. The way that the black and the background is different from the black in her hair is great. The way her logo kind of goes up against her chest like that in a really dynamic way is cool. But I feel like her arms are too wide, her shoulders are too wide, and her midriff, her torso, is not really proportioned the way it is inside the comic book, which means her boobs need to be bigger. And that makes it kind of look off to me. And I also don't like that the spandex or whatever it is that her suit's made of, which I'm pretty sure is supposed to be metal, is burnt like cloth. I don't like that, but the concept behind that cover is awesome. I love how it looks. So yeah, and finally I have Absolute Power tie-in Wonder Woman number 11. So I had initially decided to only collect the Tom King run that related to Daniel St. Pierre, that had Daniel St. Pierre's artwork on it, right? However, because of a clerical issue with my comic book shop, I did end up getting one of them. I ended up getting issue 13, and they had issue 11 there, so I picked up issue 11. Now I have to find issue 12. I'm hoping that when I go down to Houston, I'll be able to track down some of the comic book stores there and see if I can go into their back issue bins and find one of them. But if not, I'll just be constantly looking out for Wonder Woman number 12. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, that's it for the single issues. In terms of collected editions, I read through Muse, which is a Humanoids series. It has art by Terry Dodson. I can't remember the French creator that did the writing. And I enjoyed it. I had fun, mostly because of the artwork. I don't think that the story was that good, but it's pretty interesting in concept because it's a way for Terry Dodson to draw a singular female character going through a bunch of classic stories, right? So they go through The Beauty and the Beast, they go through Aladdin, they go through, one of the Lawrence of Arabia type stories. They go through a bunch of stuff. And it's really cool and really interesting, but the storytelling, the thing that connects everything is not very good. So it is what it is. I'll do a review for it probably in December. So, I'll let you know when it comes out. And then, in terms of collected comic books that are physically available to me, we have Ultimate Spider-Man number 1, Power and Responsibility. I know what happens in this book because I've watched all of the Comic Pop videos about it, but I started collecting them a while back and I decided to start reading it, and man, it's great. I don't necessarily love the art style, to be honest with you. I know that Bagley is a classic Spider-Man character, Spider-Man artist, but I don't know, maybe it's just because it's the early days of digital coloring or something, but it's not really my favorite. I think the lines are good. I just don't love how it looks in color. In practice, it doesn't look my favorite, but the storytelling is great. I really, really like it. I love how fucked up it is in terms of like suddenly, characters are just like dying left and right. And the Green Goblin shows up and he's like a Hulk monster. Like it's really great stuff. I had a lot of fun reading it. And I have the 2 other volumes over there, so I'll probably end up reading those here soon, probably in December. And here we have Superman Super Core Volume 1. This is the all-in version of Superman by Joshua Williamson with art by Jamal Campbell. And his artwork is phenomenal. I really, really love it. The only thing I don't necessarily love is that Superman's face looks really pretty, and I don't necessarily think that Superman should be a pretty guy. He should be kind of rugged and a bit more, I don't know how to explain it, but that's the only issue I have with Jamal Campbell's artwork. Otherwise, it's freaking great, man. I love it. So yeah, overall, this was a great story. I really, really enjoyed it. I don't want to say too much because I want to do a review for it, but great stuff. Collect Superman 1 through 5 and Superman Annual 2023. This is the Target exclusive version, and it's in hardcover, but apparently none of these issues are actually collected in hardcover beyond this. So if I want to own the series in trade or in like, smaller books, I'm gonna have to go buy the trades for all of them, and that's annoying. I would prefer not to have to do that. I would just like all of them in hardcover, but I guess they're trying something new where they don't publish hardcovers first, so we'll see. Otherwise, let's see. That's basically it for the comic books. In terms of manga, we have Blue Lock episode Nagi Volume 1. I did a first impressions review for this already, so you can check it out. If you're a fan of Nagi, get it. If you're a fan of Blue Lock in general, maybe this isn't for you because it really focuses on Nagi specifically and his relationship with Rayo, and that's not really everyone's interest, right? Here we have the guy that she was interested in isn't a guy at all. This is great. This is the Green Urias, it's called, and it has this awesome coloring technique in the inside. And it's a really good story. It's really fun. It's a very interesting romance story. It almost reminds me of something like My Dress Up Darling, right? Where the idea is there's one character that loves something but hides it away, and there's another character that loves something and pushes it out into the world, and they end up connecting, with the added bonus that this also has like a hidden love story in it where the characters are in love with each other but don't know who each other are, right? There's kind of this masquerade ball kind of effect going on, and it's actually pretty good. The only issue that I have here and there is sometimes the artwork doesn't look the way it probably should look, but that's a pretty minimal issue, right? So yeah. Then we have One Piece Shogeki no Sanji, which is Food Wars Sanji edition, and this is good. It's about 5 or 6 chapters here. Yeah, 6 chapters that deal with Sanji cooking something throughout the journey, right? So the first issue the first chapter is about Sanji right before he meets Luffy. The second one is about right before they leave for the Grand Line. The third one is in Alabasta. The fourth one is doing the time skip. The fifth one is during Wano. And the final one is when he's a kid after he meets Zeph. So really good stuff. I really, really enjoyed it. The coolest part is really the artwork because it's by the guys that did Food Wars, and it has that kind of vibe to it. So yeah, it's really fun. And finally, we have a light novel here. This is Gyuin Saga, book 1 of 5. Although technically there's over 100 volumes of this, there's only 5 available in English. And this is a really cool story. If you like Conan the Barbarian or heroic fantasy, you should read this because it's basically that. And it has some really awesome artwork. And apparently this story inspired Berserk. And you can see that if we pull up the artwork here. So this is Gyuin, who is a Conan character with a giant leopard mask, right? And if I go here to the end, you'll see that we really have the Black Swordsman coming to life here, right? So let's see if I can find it. I think it's like the last painting here that we get. Yeah, there you go. Isn't that Berserk? That's crazy. It looks really, really cool. The story is kind of slow, but it's really enjoyable. A lot of it is spent giving you the right atmosphere for the story, telling you exactly what everything looks and feels like, and it's great. But it makes it kind of slow for reading, right? So your mileage may vary there, but I did enjoy it. So, okay, so that's basically everything that I've read so far. There are a few things I want to read for the rest of the month while I'm away during the holidays. I want to read through these 3 things, alongside finishing up with the 6th volume of The Wandering End. Sorry, the 6th book in The Wandering End. So I want to start reading Solo Leveling number 8. This is the end of the story. I think I've put it off long enough. I do want to read this and finish it, and hopefully I'll read that before December so that I can do a review for it, so I can put it on my list of light novels. Then I want to read Bookshops and Bone Dust. This is book 2 in the Legends and Latte series, so this is technically a prequel. I'm not sure how that works, but it does, so we'll see. Not much to say about that one. I think it just fits the vibe of the holidays that we're kind of experiencing right now. So yeah, and then last month I read this, but I didn't put it in my wrap-up video. And so I want to read it again because I don't think that I gave this the attention it deserved. And even though I really enjoyed it, I don't think I did. I enjoyed it as much as I should have. And so I want to read it again and really understand if that's true or not. So here we have Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, deluxe edition. This is the deluxe edition. A friend of mine gave it for my birthday. Gave it to me for my birthday. And man, it's a wonderful, beautiful looking story. But I feel like I was distracted while reading this. And so even though I expected this to hit really hard, it only hit mildly. And I think that I need to reread this and give it my full attention and really, appreciate it more before I do a review for it. So that's what I'm gonna do. So hopefully I'll do this by December. But yeah, that's all. That's it. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought down below. Let me know what your favorite thing to read or watch this month has been. And thank you guys so much for all of the support. So yeah, see you guys later.